Our worth is not something that's granted by someone else. It's not earned by bending, overcompensating, or staying in spaces that shrink us. Our worth is inherent, something we carry simply because we are here. But here's the hard truth: not everyone will see that worth. And that's okay, because it's not our job to convince them. Walking away isn't a declaration of war. It's not revenge. It's simply choosing not to abandon yourself. Boundaries, those lines we draw to protect our hearts, are one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. And yet, setting boundaries and walking away when those lines are crossed can feel like stepping into a storm. We fear judgment, loneliness, or regret. But what if, instead of focusing on what we're leaving behind, we look toward what we're stepping into? Because when we walk away from spaces where our efforts, kindness, or love go unnoticed, we create space for something extraordinary: clarity. We rediscover what we deserve. Walking away doesn't mean you failed, nor does it mean the other person is wrong. Your self-worth is not something that can be up for debate, nor is it something others have the authority to determine. It is inherent, unshakable, and entirely yours. The world might try to convince you otherwise. People may question your value, dismiss your contributions, or fail to see the brilliance you bring to the table. But none of that diminishes your worth, because your value does not depend on someone else's recognition of it. From the moment you are born, you are worthy of love, respect, kindness, and belonging. Yet somewhere along the way, society often conditions us to believe that our value must be earned. It whispers that we must prove ourselves through achievements, relationships, or constant acts of giving to be seen as enough. But this is a lie that keeps us chasing validation that we don't need. Your worth doesn't come from your resume, your bank account, or the approval of others. It comes from being authentically and unapologetically you. What does it mean to declare that your self-worth is non-negotiable? It means refusing to let others set the terms for how you are treated. It means saying no to toxic relationships, disrespect, and environments that leave you doubting yourself. It means standing firm, even when it feels easier to shrink or compromise just to keep the peace. Declaring your worth isn't about arrogance or entitlement, it's about self-respect. It's about recognizing that you don't have to tolerate being overlooked, undervalued, or treated as less than. It's not selfish to honor your boundaries or to demand respect. In fact, it's one of the most powerful ways you show up for yourself. Here's the truth: when you let others decide your worth, you hand over control of your happiness and peace. You place your self-esteem in the hands of people who may not understand or appreciate the depth of who you are. But when you take ownership of your self-worth, you reclaim that power. You stop waiting for others to validate you, because you already know your value. Living with a sense of non-negotiable self-worth isn't always easy. It can be tested by rejection, criticism, or the lingering echoes of self-doubt. There will be moments when you question if you're asking too much, or if you should settle just to avoid discomfort. In those moments, remind yourself you are not too much, you are enough. You are not difficult for wanting what you deserve. You are brave for holding out for it. When you embrace the idea that your worth is non-negotiable, everything changes. You start to make decisions from a place of empowerment rather than fear. You begin to attract people and opportunities that align with your value, and you release what doesn't. You stop chasing after those who don't appreciate you and focus instead on nurturing relationships and environments that celebrate your worth. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to set boundaries. You are allowed to prioritize your well-being and walk away from anything or anyone that doesn't honor the unique value you bring to the world. Your self-worth is not a bargaining chip. It's the foundation upon which you build your life. Protect it. Stand by it. And never, ever negotiate it. We often think of love as something limitless, a force that gives and gives without pause. While love is indeed powerful and generous, it is not infinite in its ability to flourish without care. Healthy love, whether for ourselves or others, requires boundaries. These boundaries are not barriers, they are bridges. They define where one person ends and another begins, creating space for mutual respect, understanding, and genuine connection. At its core, a boundary is a way of saying, this is what I need to feel safe, valued, and respected. It is an act of self-awareness and self-respect. But it is also an act of love for yourself and love for the people around you. Boundaries guide others on how to treat you, and they ensure that relationships remain grounded in reciprocity rather than resentment. Setting boundaries is often misunderstood as selfishness or rejection. But in truth, boundaries are the opposite. They are a profound expression of care. When we set boundaries, we are telling others, I want to continue this relationship, and here's how it can thrive. Boundaries clarify expectations, reduce misunderstandings, and prevent the emotional burnout that comes from overextending ourselves. Consider this when you allow others to push past your limits, when you say yes when you mean no, or when you stay silent to avoid conflict, you may think you're being kind. But over time, these actions lead to frustration, bitterness, and exhaustion. That frustration doesn't just harm you, it seeps into your relationships. It creates a quiet undercurrent of resentment that eventually erodes trust and connection. Boundaries, on the other hand, are a way to preserve love and keep it healthy. They help you give from a place of abundance, not depletion. When you honor your own needs and communicate them clearly, you teach others to do the same. This mutual respect creates a foundation where relationships can grow with honesty and integrity. It's important to recognize that boundaries are not about controlling others, they are about controlling what you will or will not accept. They are not walls to shut people out. They are gates that allow safe, meaningful connections to enter. Think of boundaries as the framework of a house. They provide structure, security, and stability, allowing everything within to thrive. Without them, relationships become chaotic, unpredictable, and often unsustainable. Setting boundaries requires courage. It's not always easy to say, this is what I need, especially if you've been conditioned to prioritize others' comfort over your own. You might fear rejection, confrontation, or being labeled as difficult. But the reality is this, people who genuinely care for you will respect your boundaries, even if they struggle with them at first. Those who push back or dismiss them may not have your best interests at heart, and that's valuable information. Boundaries are also a gift to yourself. They allow you to protect your energy and focus on what truly matters. When you stop pouring yourself into people or situations that don't respect your limits, you reclaim time and emotional bandwidth to invest in what nourishes you. You learn to prioritize quality over quantity in your relationships, and you create a life that aligns with your values. It's worth noting that setting boundaries isn't a one-time act, it's an ongoing process. As you grow and change, your boundaries may evolve. You'll encounter new relationships, challenges, and experiences that test your limits and require you to reassess them. This fluidity is part of the beauty of boundaries. They adapt as you do. So the next time you feel guilty about setting a boundary, remind yourself this is an act of love. Love for yourself because you are honoring your worth and protecting your well-being. Love for others because you are showing them how to connect with you in a way that is respectful and sustainable. Love for the relationship because you are giving it the structure it needs to thrive. Boundaries are not barriers to love, they are the scaffolding that supports it. They keep love rooted in respect and truth, allowing it to grow stronger and deeper. When you set boundaries, you are not pulling away from others, you are inviting them closer in a way that is healthy, honest, and real. Letting go is one of life's most difficult challenges. It requires us to release something or someone that once felt integral to our story, something we believed we couldn't live without. But letting go is also one of the bravest acts of self-liberation. It's an acknowledgement that holding on to what no longer serves us is often more painful than the fear of facing the unknown. At first, letting go may feel like failure. We are wired to associate perseverance with strength. to equate holding on with commitment and success. But sometimes the real strength lies in recognizing when it's time to walk away. Letting go is not giving up, it's choosing to prioritize your peace, your well-being, and your growth. It takes courage to let go because it often means confronting fear of the unknown, fear of loss, fear of judgment, or fear of being alone. It doesn't mean you're abandoning your responsibilities or turning your back on everything you've built. Letting go means you're choosing to honor your truth. It means you're brave enough to say, this is no longer for me, and to trust that what is meant for you will find its way. Courage is found in letting go because it requires you to embrace change, to step into the unknown, and to believe in the possibility of something better. It's not easy, but it's worth it. When you let go, you don't just leave something behind, you move closer to freedom, growth, and the life you truly deserve. In the middle of chaos, it's hard to see things for what they truly are. Emotions run high, thoughts become tangled, and our perspective narrows. When we're too close to a situation, everything can feel overwhelming, and even the simplest decisions seem impossible. This is why distance is so important. It gives us the space we need to step back, breathe, and see the bigger picture. Distance is not avoidance. It's not about running away or ignoring the issue at hand. Instead, it's about creating the mental and emotional space required to gain clarity. When we're too close to a problem, we often can't distinguish between what's urgent and what's important, between what's real and what's driven by fear or insecurity. Stepping back allows us to sort through the noise and uncover the truth. Perspective is a gift that distance provides. When we're enmeshed in a difficult situation, whether it's a conflict, a tough decision, or a life transition, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters. Distance helps us separate ourselves from the immediate intensity of the moment. It allows us to examine the situation with a calmer, more objective mindset, often revealing solutions or insights that weren't visible before. Emotional distance, in particular, is transformative. It can be as simple as taking time away from a heated conversation or as profound as stepping back from a toxic relationship. By creating emotional space, we give ourselves the chance to process feelings without being consumed by them. This space helps us identify patterns, recognize our own needs, and make choices that align with our values rather than our impulses. Physical distance can be equally powerful. Removing ourselves from the environment where the stress originated, a home, a workplace, or even a social circle can reset our perspective. A walk outside, a weekend away, or even just sitting in a different room can shift how we see things. The change in surroundings often reflects a change in mindset, creating a fresh lens through which to view the situation. Time is another critical component of distance. When emotions are raw, everything feels heightened: our anger, our sadness, our uncertainty. Time doesn't necessarily erase these feelings, but it does soften them, making it easier to think clearly. Over time, we often gain insights we couldn't access in the moment. What felt urgent begins to feel less so, and what once seemed insurmountable begins to feel manageable. This distance also creates room for reflection. When we're caught up in the moment, our focus is often external on what others are doing, saying, or expecting of us. Distance turns our attention inward. It gives us the chance to ask ourselves important questions. What do I really want? What am I willing to accept? What am I not willing to compromise on? This self-reflection is often the key to understanding not only the situation, but also ourselves. One of the most profound aspects of distance is how it reveals truths we may not want to face. Sometimes when we step back, we see that we've been clinging to something that isn't good for us, or fighting for something that doesn't truly align with our values. Distance can illuminate the parts of our lives that no longer fit relationships, jobs, habits, and show us the steps we need to take to move forward. Clarity through distance doesn't always come immediately. It's a process, one that requires patience and trust in the unfolding. The space created by distance allows for growth, understanding, and perspective to emerge in ways that aren't always visible when we're too close. Relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, thrive on balance. At their best, they are built on a foundation of mutual effort, respect, and care. Yet far too often, we find ourselves giving more than we receive, pouring our energy, time, and love into people or situations that offer little in return. This imbalance isn't just exhausting, it's unsustainable. Reciprocity is not a luxury in relationships, it's a necessity. To deserve reciprocity means recognizing that your time, effort, and emotions hold value. It means understanding that relationships should be a two-way street, not a one-sided effort. While there will always be moments when one person gives more than the other during hard times, periods of illness, or moments of crisis, this should never be the default dynamic. A healthy relationship is one where both parties feel seen, appreciated, and supported. When reciprocity is absent, it creates a quiet erosion of self-worth. The more you give without receiving, the more you begin to question your value. You might find yourself justifying the imbalance, telling yourself that the other person is busy, stressed, or just not capable of giving right now. But over time, this pattern of overgiving can lead to feelings of resentment, burnout, and emotional depletion. Reciprocity isn't about keeping score, it's about ensuring that both people feel invested and valued. One of the greatest acts of self-respect is to recognize when a relationship lacks reciprocity and to address it. This doesn't mean demanding equal effort at all times, but it does mean having the courage to acknowledge when your needs aren't being met. It's about setting boundaries that protect your energy and communicating your expectations with honesty and clarity. Reciprocity isn't just about actions, it's about intentions. It's not always about grand gestures or equal contributions in tangible ways. Sometimes it's as simple as feeling that your kindness is matched with gratitude, that your vulnerability is met with understanding, or that your efforts are acknowledged, even in small ways. It's about knowing that you are not alone in carrying the weight of the relationship. You deserve reciprocity because your energy and care are finite resources. You can't keep pouring from a cup that is never refilled. When relationships lack balance, they become draining rather than fulfilling. They become a source of stress rather than support. Reciprocity is what ensures that relationships remain sustainable, allowing both people to grow and thrive together. Reciprocity also fosters trust and connection. When you feel that your efforts are met with equal care, it deepens the bond and creates a sense of mutual respect. It reminds you that you are not alone in the relationship, that you are not solely responsible for its success. This shared effort creates a dynamic where both people feel valued and empowered to show up fully. Acknowledging that you deserve reciprocity is not selfish, it's self-preservation. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for relationships that take without giving. And it's about creating a standard for how you wish to be treated and having the courage to walk away from situations that consistently fall short. Reciprocity is not about perfection, it's about balance. It's about both people being willing to invest in one another, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care and commitment. Walking away can feel like the ultimate conclusion, a door closing, a chapter ending, a story unfinished. It's often accompanied by a sense of loss, uncertainty, or even failure. But what if we looked at walking away not as a final step, but as the first step towards something new? Walking away isn't just about leaving something behind, it's about making room for what lies ahead. It's a powerful act of choice and transformation. The decision to walk away is rarely easy. It might mean stepping away from a relationship, a job, or a situation that once held meaning in your life. It might mean releasing a version of yourself that no longer aligns with who you are becoming. This act of letting go requires courage because it demands that you face the unknown. But with every step you take away from what no longer serves you, you create space for growth, clarity, and possibility. Walking away is an acknowledgement that something is no longer working. It's the moment you stop trying to force pieces to fit or make excuses for why you should stay. It's the realization that staying may mean sacrificing your peace, your well-being, or your future. Walking away is not a failure, it's an act of self-respect. It's a recognition of your own worth and a refusal to settle for less than you deserve. When you walk away, you're not just leaving something behind, you're stepping towards something else. That something else might not be fully defined yet, and that's okay. Walking away often requires trusting that the path will reveal itself as you move forward. It's an act of faith, not only in the future, but in yourself and your ability to navigate what comes next. Walking away is also a way of reclaiming your power. Sometimes we stay in situations because we feel trapped or powerless, as though we have no other options. But choosing to walk away is a reminder that you always have a choice. Even in the most challenging circumstances, you can choose how to respond. Walking away is a declaration that you are no longer willing to remain in a space that diminishes you, disrespects you, or holds you back. It's important to understand that walking away doesn't erase the past. It doesn't undo the lessons you've learned, the love you've given, or the experiences you've had. Those moments will always be a part of your story, but they don't have to define your future. Walking away is a way of honoring those experiences while freeing yourself to write the next chapter. Walking away also requires a willingness to embrace discomfort. There may be moments of loneliness, doubt, or fear as you step away from what's familiar. But those feelings are part of the process, not a reason to turn back. The discomfort is a sign that you're growing, that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone in pursuit of something better. Every time you walk away, you're choosing yourself. You're choosing to prioritize your needs, your happiness, and your vision for the life you want to create. Walking away is not about giving up, it's about rising up, about recognizing that your potential is too great to be confined by anything that doesn't nurture it. Walking away clears the path for new beginnings. It opens the door to opportunities you might never have considered while you were holding on to what was. It allows you to rediscover your strength, your passions, and your purpose. Walking away is not an end, it's a chance to start again with greater clarity, confidence, and intention. Walking away is often seen as an ending, but in truth, it's one of the most courageous beginnings you can choose. It is an act of self-respect, a declaration of your worth, and a bold step toward creating space for what truly aligns with your values and needs. Letting go of what no longer serves you, be it relationships, environments, or versions of yourself, is not a sign of weakness, but of profound strength and clarity. Each time you walk away, you honor your own growth, reclaim your energy, and take a step closer to the life you deserve. While the process may bring discomfort or uncertainty, it also offers freedom, opportunity, and the promise of something greater. Walking away isn't about abandoning the past, it's about building a future that reflects your truth. With every step forward, you embrace the power of new beginnings.